are looking forward to the summer and hopefully more investment. But big stories of a £200 million black hole that they have to resolve by the end of June by selling a lot of academy players. They need to get 40 million for Broja, 50, 60 million for Gallagher. And a lot of football experts and a lot of financial experts think they're going to breach the current Premier League's profit and sustainability regulations. They'll breach FFP, but they won't be in Europe anyway, so that's not really going to impact them. There is also a story that is circulating today. As you can see, Chelsea's 190 million losses raised doubt over rules. Chelsea heading towards bigger points deduction than Everton and Forest. And there's also charges of both Chelsea, they touch on Man City as well, facing expulsion from the league if found guilty of their FFP charges. There's also a big story today that Chelsea may be forced to lift the lid on Roman Abramovich's alleged questionable transfers activities next month in an ongoing legal case involving the former Stamford Bridge director, Marina. And a lot of Chelsea fans have played that down, saying it's quite normal for clubs to have to reveal certain pieces of information and we shouldn't worry about it. But with this, all the financial experts looking at the accounts of Chelsea and saying there's this big £200 million black hole, they've self-reported themselves for multiple financial not even mistakes, mishaps, offshore transfers, and sort of mishandling of transfers and essentially breaking FFP rules. They've reported themselves. Now more information may be revealed in a court case, which is, if it comes out publicly, there could be evidence there for the Premier League to use against them in these investigations. And if you're seen to be a team that's cheated the system and then you're breaching FFP rules on top of that, Chelsea really could be facing an absolute massive punishment when you look at the fact that in the independent report that came from about Nottingham Forest, it stated that minor breaches will get small points deductions, but major breaches, which you assume Chelsea's could result in expulsion from the Premier League. Dan, do you feel like Chelsea fans, with this further news of a big court case coming out, should be a lot more worried about the situation their club finds itself in?
Yeah, look, they'll know the insides of their club more than we do. But if I'm a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be as relaxed and calm as that, because look, they may know their club, more than us, but they don't know the insides and outs, what's being investigated. So they could be sitting there relaxing, but there's no smoke without fire. And everything with this new takeover, everything that's happened and how they've gone about things has just screamed incompetence. And I really wouldn't put it past any of it to be true. I mean, they was doing them sort of dodgy dealings, allegedly. I don't know what legal situation say, but when they were selling that dead wood for like 50, 60 million to like Saudi and stuff like that, and they were selling them overseas to try and get around the FFP because he had some backdoor deal or something like that. So we've seen on the surface the shadiness. So if that's what we're all aware of and we're seeing, what's going on behind the scenes, and that, I could honestly see this coming back to bite them. And really, they could still qualify for Europe, because 8th might get Europe. So if I was them, I would try and slow down a bit, because like you said, if they was to be in Europe, because they could get Conference League. If Conference League gives 8th, they qualify for that. Then they've got a whole nother mess to worry about. But yeah, expulsion for the league, I don't think will happen. But points deduction will probably, I can see that happening, but it won't be enough to relegate them, I don't think. So they'll probably be.
So there are. Yeah. So just for the people that this is gonna rattle you guys in the chat, a lot of you. So hit that like button now. Let's get to 1,000 likes before we go on. Seriously, because this is gonna rattle a lot of you people. For everybody that wants, get Man City down, get Chelsea down. These are two different. What Chelsea are doing now is what Nottingham and Forest and Everton have done, but on a bigger scale. Like Everton and Nottingham Forest, they breached FFP by overspending. Right, but Chelsea have done it for 200 million, while Nottingham Forest and Everton have done it with much smaller. So Chelsea,
90 million, I think they did.
Yeah, so Chelsea aren't cheating the system. Chelsea mismanaged their accounts because Todd Bowley just overspent without knowing what's going on. So he's gonna make money, and he didn't. So Chelsea, they breached FFP, so they didn't cheat. They breached FFP, so they deserve a point deduction, same as Nottingham Forest and Everton. Man City are denying all of this. Man City are saying, no, we're good. You can prove that we breached FFP. No, we're good. Come try to. So if Man City proven guilty, they cheated the system. But Chelsea reporting that, our finances are not aligned because we breached FFP. We overspend what we can spend. That's different. I don't
thought the
believe that these
contract links were supposed to get round that, Mo. Didn't they
So-
do? Because
hold on. There are two cases here, and Terry actually explained that. One of them is the financial fair play. The second is the transfer.
Okay.
These are completely different. The
So it's not based on
thing is
wages.
completely
So
different.
yeah, let me just jump in for a second. So what you're talking about, we'll get on to Dan. So there are connections to City and there are differences. What TalkSport and the financial expert Stefan spoke about yesterday around this £200 million black hole, that is pure FFP overspending and losses that they are currently facing. And that is heavily due that their whole process of spending $1 billion and putting these wages and doing the 8-year contracts was in the hope of getting back into the Champions League last season and this season. With 2 years of no Champions League money, in terms of their projections, that is a £300 million black hole of no income, and they've missed out on Europe altogether, so it's an even bigger hole, right? They're also, though, being investigated for dodgy transfer deals. So, for instance, they had deals for Willian, deals for Eto. These are old, these are historic, that appeared in turn when they reported their finances as and the net spend calculator that the media looked at. These appeared as like free transfers. What Chelsea Football Club have found since purchase, what Todd Bowley and Clearlake have found since purchasing Chelsea, is that actually they didn't declare anything through the club to buy those players, but there was offshore payments made to football clubs and or connected people of tens and 20s and 30 worths of millions of pounds. So it looks like they've paid for players, but outside of the football club, so that the club can say we got them for free, which is a complete and utter, if true, is a complete and utter breach. So the reason Chelsea are in trouble, and so I say about this court case that's going on, there's probably been 100 occasions in the last 30 years, maybe more, where Premier League clubs have had to reveal internal matters in court cases where they're being sued, etc. And most of the time, it could be a little bit embarrassing, it could be a bit frustrating, or completely ignored by the world. But Jem was in a group chat of ours earlier, and he sort of said this is a kind of normal activity, and he's right, it is. But where I think he's kind of missing maybe the point a little bit, and it's not a dig at Jem, it's just when it's your own club, sometimes it's really hard to lift your head above the parapet. You're already under investigation for self-reporting yourselves. The Premier League and the independent commissions, when it comes to FFP, have said that major breaches are going to get in real big trouble. But you've also seen Nottingham Forest get into less trouble than Everton for losing more because they cooperated. Now that I'm seeing Chelsea cooperate loads with the Premier League by self-reporting, look, we found this problem and that problem, please come in and look, we want to help you out. That tells me they know there's trouble ahead because they're doing everything they can to get the Premier League on their side. They're doing the complete opposite to City, which is City are turning around and saying, we ain't giving you access to nothing until we're forced to. You've also now got the government's new legislation, which is essentially to regulate football, which means they could theoretically turn up tomorrow morning at Chelsea, West Ham, Man United, and go, we want to go through all your books. We want all this documentation. We want proof that you're getting the money from here and proof that this company is real and proof. How do they approach you? Show us the first email, show us whatever it may be. All these things I think are going to cause people. I think when you look at the overall picture at Chelsea with the potential FFP breaches, they're self-reported of already financial mismanagement and potential dodgy dealings. The court case that might reveal additional evidence, plus the government now coming in to come down hard to make sure clubs are run properly. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm not sitting back going, it's all going to be okay. For me, you should be, if you're part of an official supporters club, knocking on the door, saying we need answers, we need information, we need to know what's going on to a certain degree. Because they don't read, for me, even if they're not kicked out the league, they get a 20 points deduction next year. No matter what who's going to come to your club? It means you're not making European football again. And the problem is the longer you stay away from it, the less income you're going to have because sponsors are going to pull away or they're not going to pay as much money. Yes, you've got a lot of fans. Yes, you've got a lot of support. But we have seen great clubs fall from grace before.